Get history. This is a survival countdown. In 2300 BCE, your life is worth exactly 3 scoops of dirt-covered barley, and the king is coming to take 2 of them. No iron, no glass, no coins, no clocks, no concept of a weekend. You are in the city of Akkad, the world's first superpower. To the king, you are a number. To the gods, you are a slave. To your family, you are the only thing standing between them and the dust. You're watching the Saturated Show. Let's see if you survived the day. That drum is the heartbeat of the empire, and it's hungry. It means the scribes are coming sooner than the moon promised. You wake up in a room with no windows. The air is a thick, choking soup of wood smoke, and the smell of 5 other unwashed bodies. You share a reed mat with your younger brother. His breath is warm on your neck, but it carries that sharp, acidic tang of an empty stomach. Your skin itches from the coarse wool wrap, your only garment. It is your clothes, your bed, and eventually, it will be your shroud. You don't check a clock, you check the wall. A sliver of white light cuts through a crack in the mud brick. The shadow has reached the second brick. You're late. In Akkad, being late is a debt you pay in blood. You reach into the jar. Your fingers scrape the bottom, picking up more dust than grain. There is enough barley for 2 full meals, but the drum is getting louder. Here's the math. If the scribe sees a full jar, he takes half for the king's army. If you hide the grain and get caught, you lose your hand, or your father loses his freedom. So, what do? Do you feed the children now, or save it for a temple that is already gold-plated? Your mother hands you the wooden scoop. Her eyes are sunken. She doesn't speak. Silence is the only thing that's free here. You pour out. The sound of grain hitting the ceramic is like sand in an hourglass. The house feels like a cage of baked earth. You step out into the alleyway, but there is no fresh air. The city of Akkad is a machine made of mud. The narrow streets are choked with the smell of open drains and the bitter smoke of dung fires. You climb to the roof. Akkad is a labyrinth of brown on brown. Thousands of roofs huddled like a herd of dying beasts. You scan the mats where your grain is drying. Yesterday, the neighbor's roof was robbed. He didn't scream. In this city, if you scream, you draw the city guard. They don't come to help. They come to investigate civil unrest. By the time they leave, your grain is gone, and you're paying a fine for the noise. The state doesn't care about your loss. It only cares about order. You head to the communal well. A guard leans on a copper-tipped spear. He isn't there to keep the line moving. He's there to make sure no one takes more than their daily measure. Water is life, and the king owns life. The gossip here is razor sharp. 3 men collapsed yesterday at the southern bend. A woman whispers. Her head is shaved, the mark of a bondservant. The heat ate them. The overseer didn't even stop the line. He just told the next men to dig through the bodies. You haul the heavy jar back. The water sloshes against your legs, caking the dust into a thick brown paste. It's cool, but it feels heavy as lead. Every step is a negotiation with your own muscles. Hunger doesn't shout, it whispers math. By the time you return, your father is standing at the threshold. He is 40, which makes him an elder in a world that kills the weak. His skin is the color of scorched earth. His hands look like the mud bricks of your house, cracked, dry, and hardened by fire. He looks at your hands and then at the sky. The sun is rising like a white-hot hammer. He gives you a choice. Choice 1, the granary. It is safe. It is shady. You will move sacks of grain from dawn until dusk under the watchful eye of a scribe. The pay is 2 scoops of barley. Choice 2, the canal. It is lethal. You will dig the throat of the city in the marshes. The air is thick with fever. The pay is 5 scoops. Your sister's cough was a dry, rattling sound last night. 5 scoops buys the medicine. 2 scoops buys a slow death. What would you choose? Safety for yourself or a gamble for her? You choose the canal. You descend into a trench that feels like an open grave. You are waist deep in gray, rotting silt. The silt smells of ancient fish and human waste. The man next to you is 60. His back is a map of scars. He doesn't look at you. He just digs. Slap, scoop, throw. Slap, scoop, throw. The weight of the mud is immense. It sticks to the wooden shovel like glue. Your arms begin to shake within the first hour, but there is no stopping. The overseer is a shadow with a staff and a tablet. He isn't looking at your face. He looks at the volume of mud you move. When the man next to you faints, the overseer kicks him into the shadow. The water doesn't wait for the weak, he grunts. Dig. The sun reaches its zenith. It is a blinding white disk that turns the sky into a sheet of hammered brass. There is no wind in the trench. The heat is a physical presence, a weight on your lungs. You can feel your skin blistering. You look up at the Great Ziggurat. It is a geometric mountain of blue glaze and gold. It was built with the same mud you are standing in. You realize that the gold on the temple walls didn't come from the gods. It came from the backs of men like you. Down here, no one needs to explain who owns your body. The empire is the earth, and you are just the dust it's made of. While you break your back, your mother is in the market. She walks past Indus Valley carnelian and Lebanese cedar. She isn't here for luxury. She needs life water, a tonic for your sister's chest. She offers her only luxury, a dyed wool shawl. The merchant doesn't even touch it. The king's looms have flooded the market, he says. Wool is common as dirt. I want silver, or 3 jars of prime seed grain. 3 weeks of her life, rendered worthless by a bureaucrat in the South. She has to decide. Watch the girl die today, or trade the seed grain and starve the family next year. The sun begins its slow descent, but the air in the canal remains like a furnace. Every muscle in your back has turned into a hot wire, screaming with every scoop of silt. The shovel feels like it has tripled in weight since the morning. Your breath comes in ragged gasps, and the taste of salt and copper fills your mouth. Next to you, the old man has stopped digging. He is staring at his hands, which are locked in a permanent claw shape around the wooden handle. The overseer approaches, the wooden staff clicking rhythmically against the dry earth above. He doesn't offer a break. He offers a threat. The king's grain flows through these waters, he shouts over the trench. If the gates are not clear by the new moon, the gods will have your blood. The fear is sharper than the fatigue. You find a reserve of strength you didn't know you had and drive the spade into the gray muck once more. By the time the work horn sounds, you can barely stand upright. Your skin is a map of sun blisters and mud, caking into a hard shell in the cooling air. You climb out of the trench with the other broken men, stumbling toward the pay station where the temple scribe sits under a linen awning. He is clean. His hands are soft. He holds a reed stylus over a wet clay tablet, recording the lives of men in tiny triangular scratches. When you reach the front, you hold out your bag. You wait for the 5 scoops that were promised, the price of your sister's life. The scribe doesn't look up. He moves his stylus across the clay and grunts. 3 scoops. The king has levied a war toll for the northern frontier. Your heart drops into your stomach. The overseer said 5. You whisper, your throat raw from the dust. My sister, the medicine is 3 jars of grain. The scribe finally looks at you. His eyes are as indifferent as the desert. The tablet is written, he says. Do you wish to argue with the gods? The city guard behind him shifts his weight, his bronze mace glinting in the dying light. You take the 3 scoops and walk away in silence. The walk home is a blur of shadows. The city of Akkad is beautiful at twilight, with the ziggurat glowing like a coal. But to you, it is a tomb. You enter the hut to find your mother sitting by your sister. The girl's face is gray. The cough is quieter now, which is far worse than the noise. Your father is in the corner, digging at the dirt floor with his bare hands. He pulls out a small, hidden leather pouch. Inside is the king's portion, the grain you were supposed to deliver as tax. He looks at you, his eyes wide and wild with desperation. "If we hide this, we can buy the tonic," he whispers. "But if the searchers come tomorrow and the measure is light, we are all lost." This is the Empire's ultimate test. It isn't just about the work, it's about the soul. Do you steal from the king to save your own blood? You help him hide the grain back under the mat. You pack the earth down tight, smoothing it over until it looks like the rest of the floor. Sleep does not come. Every sound in the street, a dog barking, a neighbor's footstep, sounds like the heavy sandals of the city guard. Morning arrives with the sound of the bronze drum. It is tax day, the most feared morning in the Babylonian calendar. You join the line at the great storehouse. Hundreds of families stand with their jars, shivering in the pre-dawn chill. A man 3 places ahead of you is pulled out of line. His grain jar was found to be mixed with sand to make it heavier. The guard doesn't hesitate. They knock him to the ground with a spear butt and drag him toward the slave pens. His wife's scream echoes off the mud walls. Your father steps forward to the scale. He pours the grain. The scribe watches the balance tilt, his stylus hovering over the clay. The silence lasts an eternity. You can hear your own heartbeat thumping in your ears like the temple drum. The scribe makes a mark. "Accounted," he grunts. "Next." Your father's shoulders slump as he takes the empty jar back. You walk to the market with the hidden grain tucked under your wool wrap. You find the merchant from the previous day. He takes the grain, weighing it with a suspicious eye. He hands over a small blue glass vial filled with a dark, bitter liquid. "This will clear the lungs," he says, "but it won't fill the stomach. You've traded your winter for a week of breath." You return home and give the tonic to your sister. Within the hour, her breathing slows. The rattling stops. She sleeps a natural sleep. But as you sit on the roof, watching the sun set over the Empire, the victory feels hollow. The jar in the corner is empty. Tomorrow, you will go back to the canal. You will dig until your hands bleed and your spirit breaks, just to earn the right to exist. The ziggurat towers over you, a constant reminder that you are a small part of a very large, very hungry machine. We traded the clay tablets for digital screens, but the mechanics of the machine remain the same. The scribes still count. The kings still build their monuments with the labor of those who cannot afford to look up. The weekend is a modern lie. In the eyes of the system, you are still a number. You are still a scoop of barley. You are still a servant to the grand design. Akkad fell. The dust claimed the gold and the blue glaze, but the shadow of the ziggurat never truly left us. It lives in the rent you pay. It lives in the credit score that dictates your freedom. It lives in the clock you punch every morning. You survived the day in 2300 BCE, but the Empire is still here, and it is still very, very hungry. The sky over Akkad is never truly black. The smoke from the communal fires and the glow of the eternal flames atop the ziggurat create a haze that masks the stars. You lie on the roof tonight, unable to go inside the cramped house. Your sister is breathing, yes, but the silence of the city feels more dangerous than the noise. You think about the baker they dragged away this morning. By now, he's in the stone quarries, his name erased from the city's rolls. This is how the Empire maintains its height. It doesn't grow through kindness. It grows through the careful pruning of the weak and the unlucky. Every brick in that ziggurat represents a family that ran out of math, a jar that went empty, a father who couldn't hide his grain well enough. You look at your hands in the moonlight. The silt from the canal is embedded so deep in your skin that you doubt it will ever wash away. You are becoming a part of the landscape. You are the mud brick. You are the trench. You are the fuel that keeps the bronze lamps burning. Akkad feels eternal. You cannot imagine a world where these walls don't stand. You cannot imagine a world where a king doesn't demand his portion. But history is a slow, grinding stone. One day, the rains will fail for too long. One day, the canals will choke with more silt than men can move. One day, the scribes will have nothing left to count. But that day is centuries away. For you, there is only the next sunrise. The drum sounds again. It is not even light yet, but the city doesn't sleep. The empire requires its breakfast. You climb down the ladder, your joints creaking like the wooden gates of the city. Your mother is already up, staring at the empty jar. She doesn't ask you how you feel. She doesn't ask if you are tired. She only asks if you are going back to the canal or the granary. The canal, you say. Your voice is a ghost of what it was yesterday. 5 scoops. I will find a way to make the scribe count every one. She nods once. She gives you a small piece of the bread made from the hidden grain, the bread that tastes of fear and survival. You walk out into the street. The air is cool, but you know it's a lie. Within 2 hours, the sun will be a white-hot spear in your back. You pass the temple of Ishtar. The incense smells sweet, a sickening contrast to the stench of the alleyways. You see the priests in their clean linen, walking with their heads held high. They have never touched a shovel. They have never tasted dust. They tell you that your labor is a holy sacrifice. They tell you that without your sweat, the stars would fall from the sky. But you know better now. You know that the stars don't care about the mud. Only the men who live in the gold houses care. You reach the crossroads. The line for the canal is longer today. More people are desperate. More people have empty jars. The overseer is there, holding his staff. He looks at the line and smiles, a jagged, cruel expression that makes your stomach turn. The king is building a new palace, he announces to the crowd. The labor will be doubled. The rations will be held until the task is complete. A murmur of despair ripples through the men, but no one leaves. Where would they go? The desert belongs to the lions and the nomads. The city is a cage, but at least the cage has walls. At least the cage has the hope of a scoop of barley. You step into the trench. The water is even colder than yesterday. The leeches find your ankles almost instantly. Slap, scoop, throw. The rhythm begins again. You focus on the sound of the mud hitting the bank. It is the only music you have left. You think about the world 4,000 years from now. You wonder if they will remember your name. You wonder if they will find your tablet. But you realize they won't. The scribes only record the totals. They record the weight of the grain, not the weight of the man who carried it. You are the invisible foundation of the first superpower. You are the ghost in the machine of civilization. As the sun breaks over the horizon, you realize that the struggle isn't over. It will never be over. The scribes will change their tools. The kings will change their titles. The ziggurats will turn into glass and steel. But the line will always be there. The scale will always be tilted. And the king will always come for his 2 scoops. You grip the handle of the shovel. You ignore the pain. You ignore the thirst. You ignore the math. You dig, because in the city of Akkad, the only thing worse than the work is the silence of an empty house. The empire is hungry, and today, once again, you will be the one to feed it. Next time, we go inside the ziggurat, the life of the high priest's daughter, where the grain is endless, but the shadows are even darker. Subscribe to The Saturated Show. History is happening.